Heated school board meetings, whether it's about curriculum or vaccines en masse, have been all over our social media feeds, and now the Department of Justice has gotten involved. But why? And is it true they're treating parents as domestic terrorists? I'll get into the whole domestic terrorist thing in a second, but first, what's going on? The Attorney General, Merrick Garland, has been grilled by Congress over the last 2 days over this one-page memo he sent to the FBI and state attorneys general on October 4th. That memo outlines the Department of Justice's policy to partner with federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial law enforcement to address threats against school board members, administrators, teachers, and staff. The very first paragraph stresses it's every parent's constitutional right to engage in spirited debate about school policies involving their kids, but that right does not extend to threats of violence or intimidation of individuals based on their views. It goes on to say threats against public servants is illegal. Now, some parents groups and even some lawmakers think the memo itself is completely uncalled for and will scare parents into staying silent.
Did you consider the chilling effect that this sort of threat of federal prosecution would have on parents' exercise of their constitutional rights to be involved in their children's education?
I don't believe it's reasonable to read this memorandum as chilling anyone's rights. It's about threats of violence, and it expressly recognizes the constitutional right to make arguments about your children's education.
So how did this all come to be? Well, part of it is because of this letter sent to the president from the National School Boards Association on September 29th. The very first sentence of this 6-page letter says, America's public schools and its education leaders are under an immediate threat. And it says immediate assistance is required. The Attorney General testified today that this letter from the School Board Association was considered when he drafted his memo just 5 days later. So now let's talk about this whole domestic terrorist thing. The words were originally used in that School Boards Association memo. In that memo on page 2, it suggests the acts of malice, violence, and threats against school officials is equivalent to a form of domestic terrorism and should be classified as such. The fact is, the Attorney General's memo never once mention the words domestic terrorists or domestic terrorism. Here's what's interesting. The School Boards Association has completely backpedaled and has apologized for that original letter after backlash from parents and other groups. But the one-page apology posted on October 22nd didn't actually withdraw the request for federal help, nor did it specifically say what language in the original letter they were apologizing for. As for the Attorney General, he has vehemently defended his memo and says he refuses to rescind it.